So a lot of people have a bit of a debate on when the best time to shake colonizing grain is. Some people like to shake around 30% or even 50%, but I don't think there's any logic or evidence based on that, and I'm fond of shaking around 10%. I had previously done an experiment where I soak one piece of hydrated sterilized grain in super glue and then I bury it in between other pieces of sterilized grain. Once the super glue solidifies, I pull out the chunk and I count how many pieces of grain the one piece of grain is touching. In the past, I believe I've gotten it to stick to approximately 9 or 10 pieces of grain, which would imply if you shake around 10% and effectively and easily break up the grain and mix it throughout the uncolonized grain, that one piece of colonized grain would be touching 10 other pieces of the grain, and at that point, the mycelium would only have to colonize the distance of one additional piece of grain in every direction in order for the bag to be fully colonized, which, with a recovery time of 1 to 2 days, you should see full colonization after shaking at 10% within probably 3 to 4 days. In this video, I'm going to do the experiment again and see how many pieces of grain it takes, and then we'll calculate what the ideal shake time should be. So I'm first putting down a layer of grain to make sure that when I place the super glue piece of grain on top of it, that it's able to touch everything and not get stuck on the petri dish. I'll grab a random piece of grain. Hopefully it's a good representation. Soak it in super glue. Pull it out, add it to the rest of the grain, and I will bury it and give it a little shake. Now we'll just let it colonize and I'll be back with the results. We'll let it solidify. Okay, and we're back. I think it's been enough time for the piece of super glue grain to bond with the other grain, and we'll pull it out and count how many pieces of grain are connected to it. Okay, this looks like it's it. Yep. So, this one piece of grain looks like it has quite a few other pieces of grain touching it. Let's tear it apart and see how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And it looks like this one actually has 3 on it, so 14, 15, 16. So one piece of grain holds 16, well, I guess including itself, 16 pieces of grain. So when it is 1/16 colonized, that would theoretically be a very good time to shake and mix the grain, because it would only need to colonize the pieces of grain that each piece of colonized grain is touching. I've had good luck with shaking it around 10%, which is a little more colonized than what this experiment would suggest, but I think for a lot of people it would be worth experimenting with this and let me know the results that you get when you shake fairly early, such as around the 5 or 10% mark.